what other nations might be hitting that panic button as we are 1 year away from the 2026 World Cup. We're at the wall, Ian, and we're going to talk about what sides might be panicking. Maybe the ones that play at this ground.
The three lions?
Yeah, the three lions might be. So look, the way I like we got this. We got this. We're chilling. A bit shaky. Yikes. Cooked or no hope. I kind of just live my life in the bit shaky area. That's my default situation. But let's start with England. Where do you stand with them after losing to an African side for the first time? Now, it was a friendly.
Yeah. I mean, what do you buy into with friendly games? Obviously, there's an opportunity to test your opponent, to test your players, and maybe try a few things out tactically. New manager in charge in Thomas Tuchel. Very impressed with him. Obviously, in the club game, international game is new to him. The players at his disposal is remarkable. He's got such a talented group, and it's not only the experienced players with your leading goal scorer for the nation all-time in Harry Kane, but it's also down to the youngest of young players who are coming through the ranks and getting an opportunity, and one obviously world-class player in Bellingham in midfield. I think there's so many players that they can rely on to get their job done, similar to what we witnessed in the Euros, but can they get over the finish line? That will be the question. Getting to the World Cup, I'm absolutely recognising they've got this. I don't think there's going to be any pressure there, especially when you see the opposition they've got. They'll get to the World Cup. The question is, what can they do in the World Cup? Plus 700 they are, fourth favourite to win the World Cup right now. For many people out there sensing an opportunity to make some money, I'm okay with that, especially with the players at their disposal. How great would it be, after all of these years, that a German went on to win the World Cup for England? That would be epic. As someone who grew up in Scotland, I would absolutely love that.
Who speaks fluent German as well, but
yeah.
This man is under a little pressure right now because they haven't looked that solid since he's taken over. That 3-1 loss to Senegal. We got to give Senegal their props, by the way. This is a very good side that's in good form right now. But when you look at that England roster, when you talk about the panic meter from my perspective on them, like you said, it's not about whether or not they make the World Cup. It's can they actualize the potential, because that starting 11 is good enough to compete for a World Cup, but they've got to show better than what they've looked like so far. That's why I think they're a bit shaky.
Maybe shaky because also a lot of those players are playing ridiculous seasons now, going into a FIFA Club World Cup, then all of a sudden straight into the next domestic season. I think you're going to start to recognise that players will get rested between now and the beginning of the World Cup for their national team. No problems for me. England reached the semi-final at ease as far as I'm concerned. They're too good.
All right, let's move on to another side that might be a little bit more advanced when it comes to that panic meter, and this is Italy, and this is actually a situation where they've got a history of missing out on the World Cup here recently, and they're in danger again this time around, even with the expanded field.
It would be lovely to see Italy qualify for World Cup, and my oh my, we need to have Italy, their supporters, at a World Cup in North America. What it would do for attendances, what it would do for the atmosphere, for the people in North America, those Italians, we appreciate you. Here in North America, we want your national team to be there, and I really want to see the Italian team be there as well. I think for the development, the next generation of players coming through, for that group, they need to see their national team compete at a World Cup. So this is hugely important. Now, if you look at what's happening in the group stage right now, the defeat against Norway was a disaster. Norway now obviously 4 for 4. They're looking good, 100% record. That final match day, however, it might come down to. That is Italy at home against Norway. I think they qualify. I'm still a little bit shaky on them, so I'm going to go for the bit shaky because they've got work to do. They've got to get themselves into that period where there's some confidence. You've got a managerial change. You've got players who are not great recognizable names to the world of football. They're good domestically, but where's that world-class player? Let me ask you a question. If you look at Norway and compare them, or England or Germany, where's the world-class players? You can recognize those names, right? Norway in particular, you've got Erling Haaland. Odegaard, you could say, is in that category as well. Is there a world-class player that we can say is in amongst that Italian group, Nate Bukaty?
Maybe in goal?
A fantastic show. Yes.
But that's not enough. That's not enough for what you're used to with a side that's capable historically of winning World Cups. They've got problems. I'm going further than you on a bit shaky. I'm going all the way to yikes, not quite to cooked. If you've already fired your manager in the qualification process, that's more than shaky. They pushed the panic button already in Italy because they decided their manager wasn't cut out for it. But like you said, it's not just the manager, it's the talent And they've got to start trusting young players at some point in Italy, I think, if they want to turn it around.
They have a very good youth system. Of course, the Italian Federation do a pretty good job, and especially domestically do a great job of obviously promoting young players and giving themselves an opportunity to play and get experience. But now translating that to being class in your national team is a different animal altogether. So work to be done for the Italian national team, no doubt about that.
All right, another side that historically you just wrote in pencil that they were going to make it to the World Cup, Nigeria. They're in trouble and in danger of missing out on a World Cup for an unthinkable second straight time. They've got a first-year manager, and there's at least reports out there that he's at odds with one of his star players, and Boniface, he disputes that right now. But where do you go with Nigeria at this point?
I mean, I want to say that I have hope that Nigeria, especially with the players that they have in their group, I mean, it's a ridiculously talented group of players, but unfortunately, sometimes having individual brilliance not necessarily make it a talented group of players as a team. So, yeah, you can see that with the results already in the group stage, which puts them in a vulnerable position, obviously, in their group. To be able to qualify, they've got some big games coming up. The fact that Rwanda are sitting in that position right now scares me a little bit, because the games that are coming up against them in particular, that's where Nigeria need to get the job done, need to get the results. And more often than not recently, we have recognized that Nigeria may have let themselves down. I still think that they are right now in the bit shaky period, because I still have a good feeling, especially with the World Cup that's been expanded, that this group of Nigerian players can pull themselves together. They can put problems that they have on the sideline and make sure that their nation, and again I go back to it, I always think about the young generation, what this will do for Nigeria from this group of players that should be at a World Cup, for the next generation coming through, for the young boys and girls who are watching their national team, how important that is that they compete at this World Cup. It is immensely important. So I think they take that pressure and they get there.
There's too much talent on that Nigerian side for them to be missing out on a 48-team World Cup. Yes. That match coming up at home against Rwanda could be the deciding factor in whether or not they might not get to the top of the group that they're in, but that second place playoff is maybe what.
So you're saying they qualify?
I think they qualify, but I got them at a bit shaky, like you right now. It's a challenging situation for them right now. All right, let's move on to the next one. Colombia. Looks like they're going to punch their ticket. They got a big result against Argentina away from home.
Yeah.
But there's been trouble. There's been reports of, dissatisfaction among the ranks, right? And star players that maybe haven't been happy. So where do we stand with Colombia, not just in their ability to qualify, but to actually make a run at the World Cup?
Winning games right now for Colombia is a big problem. The fact that they've got tremendously talented, especially starting 11, and should be in a better position. They started off great in the qualification process and then gradually faded away. What is it now, 1 victory in 6 games, 7 games now?
Yeah.
I think it's 7. It's crazy. It's nowhere near good enough. However, it's not easy for them. They had an opportunity against Argentina to take all 3 points. They kind of threw that away, even though they had a player advantage, and allowed a goal by Almeida, obviously, to equal things up. I still think with the fact that Venezuela went into that game against Uruguay knowing that if they got all 3 points, there would have been, 3 teams on 21 points? To me, that would have been insane going into the final 2 match days. But I think that gap that they've got now, they've created 4 points, should be enough for Colombia to be there. I remember I actually went to watch Colombia back in 1994 in the World Cup, and my, oh my, their fans were absolutely tremendous. So what I would do is I would put all my money on Colombia being there again. The point gap is too much. Venezuela threw away their opportunity. So I'm actually saying they got this. I'm not worried about the chilling. I think they got this. They're in control now again, but they got to start winning games.
3 draws in a row, I believe it is for them. But this is a side that just a year ago went 24 matches without a loss, 25 I believe it was, without a loss under the manager that they have right now. So they got to sort some things out. There's always pressure for Colombia when they make it. I'm going to put them at chilling. I think they're chilling right now. They don't have it wrapped up, but I do think they're going to qualify. It's just a matter of what they can put together and be a real force.
Can I say something crazy? I think Colombia make it to the quarterfinals at least in the World Cup. So I'm saying they make it. Not only do they make it, I think they make it to the quarterfinals.
I love it. Last time they were in the United States, of course, there was a tragic ending to that whole situation. We hope it's a lot better this time around for Colombia, no doubt about it. All right, we move on to our next side, Germany.
Sehr gut.
You watch the Germans as much as anybody. When they're at their best, they're a World Cup winners in terms of the quality that they have? Do they have that kind of quality now? Are they in trouble? Do you look at any panic for the Germans right now?
I don't have much panic or really worries about the German national team. Obviously, it's an interesting period of time because the group of players is not necessarily the talented group of players that we have seen in previous generations. I was a part of, obviously, Das Reboot, when they basically restructured the federation, invested a lot of money in a youth structure, and then eventually went on to win the 2014 World Cup, which was amazing to watch them obviously qualify and obviously win in that final against Argentina with a group of talented players that had so much success in the club game, but also for the national team as well. They were difficult to beat, they were talented, they had a goal scorer, solid world-class defence, and one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best goalkeeper in Manuel Neuer of his generation. This generation is completely different. You've got older players, you've got players who are coming through, nowhere near good enough defence, no goal scorer. So right now, I'm putting them at the fact that I do think they qualify, and they can go quite far in the competition if they get lucky, but I'm going to put them in the bit shaky category right now. And the reason why I'm putting that is because where's the confidence from me coming from? No goal scorer, poor defensively, and in my personal opinion, I can't see this desire and passion. I don't see that anymore. There's not enough quality coming from this German national team, so I'm certainly concerned about them going forward. And if they do qualify from the World Cup, man, I could see potentially an early exit from them as well.
They looked shaky in Nations League, didn't they? I mean, understatement?
Scheisse.
But they've got some amazing young talent as well, so it's going to be interesting to see. A bit shaky for Germany, says Ian Joy.
Yes.
That's where we stand on some teams in the panic button right now.